Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for church today at First Parish in Concord. Here in Cambridge, it is a little damp, but it is still a fantastic, in my opinion, July morning. Not too hot, which I love. And I'm so happy that you're here today. I'm Jade Sylvan. I am the summer minister. And we also have Anderson Manuel here as well.
Good morning, everyone. I hope that you've been enjoying your summer, and I'm looking forward to seeing you counting the days in a couple of days. Welcome to service today.
Thank you, Anderson. And also Sarah is here helping us with all of our tech needs.
Good morning. It's good to be with you today.
Thank you, Sarah. Our call to worship this morning is from one of my favorite philosophers, Oscar Wilde. He said, "I regard the theater as the greatest of all art forms, the most immediate way in which a human being can share with another the sense of what it is to be a human being." Please join me in our chalice lighting response. As Unitarian Universalists, we light a chalice to symbolize our connection with one another. If you have a chalice or a candle, please light it with me and join in the response. O flame of our faith, open our hearts and fill our bodies and souls with persistent strength. Enliven our spirits and engage us deeply in this life of ours, this sacred, essential moment now. And now please join Anderson in our opening song, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
When we gather to worship, we enter the sacred space ready to be open to the message of the service. This song you can sing at home to welcome the day. And please join me as we sing together to open up our service. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Open your ears to the song. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Open your hearts, everyone. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Don't be afraid of some change. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Today will be a joyful day. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Thank you so much, Anderson. Today, our reading is from a French actor and essayist, philosopher named Antonin Artaud. He was active in the early to mid 20th century, like mid-ish, that era, 20s, 40s, that time. And usually when people talk about him or write about him, they always mention that he was mad, he was crazy. And people still say that, even though I don't think it's in vogue to use that language anymore. And as somebody with mental health, a mental health history with a lot of anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, I've always felt a connection with him because of that. And I've also always wanted to get past that description of, oh, he was just crazy. But anyway, our reading is from him. He wrote, "Either we will be capable of returning by present day means to this superior idea of poetry and poetry through theater, which underlines the myths, capital M, told by the great ancient tragedians, capable once more of entertaining a religious idea of the theater, and capable of recovering within ourselves those energies which ultimately create order and increase the value of life, or else we might as well abandon ourselves now without protest and recognize that we are no longer good for anything but disorder, famine, blood, war, and epidemics. Either we restore all the arts to a central attitude and necessity, finding an analogy between a gesture made in painting or the theater and a gesture made by lava in a volcanic explosion, or we must stop painting, babbling, writing, or doing whatever it is we do. I propose to bring back into the theater this elementary magical idea." Those were words by Antonin Artaud. Harvard Square was eerie when I arrived at Oberon, the American Repertory Theater's second stage. A warming spring day like this one would normally see students and tourists hanging out of bakeries and coffee shops, but the sidewalks were nearly empty, and the occasional person I did pass on my way to the stage door looked anxious to be out in public at all. I entered the familiar venue and sat in one of the elevated booths. I waited there in the dark, and one by one, the cast and crew made their entrance. They washed and sanitized their hands and awkwardly navigated the new and rapidly changing recommendations against hugging and standing too close to one another. The cast and crew of Beloved King, a queer Bible musical, warmed up and dressed up and got ready for the performance. But instead of playing to the electricity of hundreds of audience members reacting to them, the actors would be playing to a lifeless clinical camera lens. It was March 12th, 2020. Later that day, Broadway would shutter. And at the end of the week, Harvard would send all its students home to finish the spring semester online. One day earlier, the World Health Organization had declared the new coronavirus a pandemic. And one day later, the United States would declare a national emergency. The show had been sold out, but the theater and I had decided the day before that we had to refund everyone's tickets. This plague, it suddenly seemed, was serious. But the cast and crew decided to go ahead and film the dress rehearsal, mostly so we would all have something to show for our weeks, months, or years of hard work. After we filmed the run-through, we all went home. None of us would set foot in another theater for a very, very long time. Now, for many of us in the LGBTQ community, the indefinite loss of live theater has not only felt financially, professionally, and socially a loss, it has also been a spiritual, and I've even seen some say religious loss. Even before I had this language for it, I've felt like the theater often functions as a form of spirituality or religion for the LGBTQ community. And what spiritual or even religious means varies from person to person, as we know as Unitarian Universalists, but generally it seems to involve at least one and often some combination of the following: guidance in meaning making, a feeling of being a part of something greater than oneself, a feeling of connection and responsibility to a supportive and like-minded community, shared rituals and stories, and accountability in creating and following a code of morality. While theater is naturally more suited to some of these aspects than others, I've personally seen theater communities perform every single one of these roles for myself and for others throughout the course of my life. For folks in the LGBTQ constellation who feel a longing for the spiritual and who may not have felt welcome or interested in traditional religious spaces for identity or other reasons, I have seen theater fill this void again and again. Theater and spirituality have been so interwoven for me that I've finally accepted that they're not merely two separate threads in the tapestry of my life, but are two fibers that combine to make up a single central strand, one that Christian religious professionals might refer to as a call. Theater has been a passion of mine going back to high school, and more than that, the theater was a spiritual home for me when I desperately needed it. As some of you know, I was raised culturally Catholic, but practically secular. As I became an adolescent and realized that I was A, spiritual, and B, queer, my options for exploration of both of these identities seemed limited where I lived in Indiana. But what I never found in church, I found in theater. The after-school clubs of like-minded nerds, the comfort of ritual as we huddled together playing theater games before opening night, the shared narrative canon of story and song, the deep discussions about morality and the meaning of life, the feeling of working together to create something that could communicate not only across the room, but across time and space as well. And personal support when the world seemed hopeless, which it often did for a queer teenager in the 90s. My theater friends helped me find hope in the world that killed Matthew Shepard and told me repeatedly that some God hated me. They also helped me keep going and creating through the suffering and fear, to grieve and feel, and then to try to make myself and the world better than what it was. Now, as a ministerial candidate, I call this pastoral care. This year, I've witnessed my theater communities support one another emotionally and material throughout the pandemic. We've raised funds for individuals who have lost family members, found housing and helped with moving costs for those who have become unhoused, and moved collective money as needed to aid the many artists who have been unable to work. I've also seen the Black Lives Matter protests of last summer shift the community's focus to demanding that powerful theatrical organizations use this time to take accountability for their histories of racism and anti-Blackness, and to take measurable actions to change. All of this gives me hope for the future. But what will the future of theater and of worship look like? After all these stopgap measures, virtual readings, virtual church, they're fine for a crisis. And in fact, there are some things to truly love about them. But for most of us, the thing we long for in theater and in church is that magic that happens when we look at humanness together in a room. Theater is transcendent, ritualistic, and under regular in-person circumstances, both ephemeral and present. It is created in the moment by artists and observers, and it ceases to exist when the moment passes. This is another reason why taped theater can feel so untheatrical. Similar to mindfulness practices like meditation, live theater brings you into the moment and into connection in an immediate way that does not happen sitting on the sofa watching Netflix or Disney Plus. In-person worship, I would argue, is similar. That being here nowness of theater, of in-person worship, that magic that happens when we are in the room together, as Oscar Wilde said, human beings sharing with others the sense of what it is to be a human being. That is what I miss and what I long so deeply for. Now, we are at a place where we are finally, possibly, probably, about to experience that ultimate mythical joy of togetherness, of co-creating in space again. But with variants flying and vaccinations lagging, I can't help but feel nervous. But I'm also trying to dust off an old aspect of both church and theater, faith. Faith in humanity, faith in the future, faith that whatever happens, the show will go on. And when it does, may this time of being a part of isolation, of fear, our time in the wilderness remind us what is so important about physical togetherness. It's not networking or showing off a new outfit, but the power of presence, of the moment, of co-creation and witness of humanness. This elementary magical idea that Antonin Artaud lamented nearly a century ago. As we return to worship in person, may we remember our power to create together. Amen. You can type your answers to the reflection question into the chat this morning. What essential magic do you hope to return to? And I will read some of them aloud. Some great responses here. Lots of singing, lots of music, making music with people, deep conversations about things that matter, making music with the choir, Viola Spolin's improvisation games. I hope I pronounced that correctly. The presence of other people, the sonorous magic of words emerging from the preacher and filling the air of our sanctuary. The immediate exchange of energy in making eye contact with others. The symphony on Friday afternoons. Singing to you, for you, with you. Shared space physically and in song. Being touched by the presence of community, sharing a common purpose and intent. That feeling I receive in sanctuary when song deeply moves me. Coffee and sharing food. Being in the presence of people, hearing the choir and organ. There's a lot of people, a lot of magic. Playing with other people with spontaneous joy in the moment. I couldn't read all of them, but you're welcome to go through the chat and read them on their own. They're all excellent. Please now join us in the song, All of Us Are Loved.
us are loved. Each of us is welcome. No one is a stranger, no one is an outcast, no one is alone. Everything we do, when our hearts are grateful and our lives are faithful, makes a better world, one that we can call everybody's home.
Juntas por amor, nadie alguien precioso, nadie hace un extraño, nadie hace tocado, nadie hace calor. Cada paso bien, con veredictoso, vamos construyendo un mundo mejor, llenos de color, como una flor.
Together with love, everyone is precious. No one is a stranger, no one asks for food, no one asks for warmth. Every step in faith, with virtue and joy, we are keeping building, build a better world, one that we can call a world full of peace.
All of us are loved.
Thank you so much, Anderson, and the gospel choir. It was beautiful. Every week, we share our joys and concerns with one another in our time of prayer and meditation. This week, we are collectively praying for Ellen, Mary, and Peck. You can read more about that in the chat. And now is the time for calling of names. You're welcome to speak aloud a name that you're praying for, or write it into the chat for the support of the community. Please pray with me. Dear God, I ask you today to abide with us in our hope and uncertainty as we move into a time and space of co-creation. May we co-create a new myth, one that leaves no one lonely, one that uplifts those who till now have been pushed to the margins. May we savor the electricity that comes when we breathe together in the same room. And may we give thanks for the electricity that allows those who cannot now come back into rooms with us to continue to connect. May those of us who can return to normal remember that normal is not good for everyone, that normal too causes pain. We thank you, God, for this gift of co-creation, for the gift of the theater of our reality, the truest and most human of all art forms. May we rewrite the script. May we recast the drama. May we play our roles kindly. Amen. Now is your chance to contribute to the good work of First Parish in Concord. You'll see a number appear on your screen to allow you to text your donation. Just text a whole number, a 20 or a 50 or 100. First time you'll need your credit card handy. You can also donate through our website or postal mail a check to the church building. Service is almost over, but that doesn't mean your connection with First Parish has to end. After the service today, there will be coffee hour and there will be worship sharing circle. Coffee hour is more of a social gathering, and worship sharing circle is a place to discuss some of the themes and ideas that we talked about in service today. You'll see those links come up in the chat right at the end of service. Also, again, I am a big evangelist for First Parish Weekly. That is an email that comes to your inbox every Friday. If it is not coming to your inbox, email Sarah Burns at sburns@firstparish.org, and she can get you on that email list. But it gives you a whole list of everything that's going on in church. It'll let you know what the sermon's going to be on Sunday, and just anything you could possibly know. I mean, we've got stuff going on every single day. So please, please, please check for First Parish Weekly. And now please join Anderson in our closing song, When I Am Frightened.
When I'm frightened, Unitarian Universalist troubadour, poet, and composer Shelley Jackson Denham knows how to make words fit a melody and how to make a melody that carries the emotion of the words. And this song, originally titled Then I May Learn, she tells of a child's quest for trust and respect. The question in the lyrics are not only for children. They apply to all of us who takes the risk of sharing our needs within a loving community of faith. As we get back to our community of faith, may we open our hearts and our minds to the newness, and may we be open to change. Please join me as we sing together, When I Am Frightened. When I am frightened, will you reassure me? When I'm uncertain, will you hold my hand? Will you be strong for me? Sing to me quietly. Will you share some of your stories with me? If you will show me compassion, then I may learn to care as you do. Then I may learn to care. When I am angry, will you still embrace me? When I am thoughtless, will you understand? Will you believe in me? Stand by me willingly. Will you share some of your questions with me? If you will show me acceptance, then I may learn to give as you do. Then I may learn to give. When I am troubled, will you listen to me? When I am lonely, will you be my friend? Will you be there for me? Comfort me tenderly. Will you share some of your feelings with me? If you will show me commitment, then I may learn to love as you do. Then I may learn to love.
Thank you, Anderson. May we find that essential magic in the rituals of our lives this week. May we be aware of the power of co-creation when we are together. May we never hold that power lightly, for it becomes our world. Join me now in the first parish benediction. Go out into the world in peace, have courage, hold on to what is good, return to no person evil for evil, strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help the suffering, honor all beings.